Good morning and rise and shine once again. We hope that you enjoyed all those great announcements that we had for you here to start your Wednesday morning off right. Again, be sure to head over to harvester-music.com to get those pre-purchased tickets for all the great shows that they just announced this week. If not, you'll have to wait until Friday morning at 10 a.m. where they will go on sale to the public. Well, we've been talking about last week, leading up to last Saturday, about a great event that was coming up in Franklin County, and boy, was it a huge success. It was a fishing tournament held at Philpott Lake, and it was sponsored by the Franklin County Sheriff's Department to benefit the Special Olympics. And we've got our good friend, Sheriff Bill Overton, on this morning. He's going to talk about a couple of things, first, Sheriff, thank you for being on our show this morning, and what an event over the weekend.
Oh, tremendous event. Thank you for having us back. Beautiful morning
Absolutely.
today. Yeah, great Wednesday. Yes, the event this weekend was just absolutely more than we could really have hoped for. Certainly, as you mentioned, the weather turned out to be beautiful. This was our 8th year of holding this event, and each year has progressively gotten better and better and better. As the word spreads and as people participate, they see that it's for a great cause and a lot of fun. But this year we had 60 boats, almost doubled from what we had last year. So thankful for all of those who participated that love to get out there and fish. Always looking for an opportunity to fish. But it was a good day for us. We raised over almost $7,500, and all of those funds will go to the Special Olympics. It's a great organization and a great cause that law enforcement kind of has taken that as their flagship across the Commonwealth that we participate in and helping out in that effort. So we were very excited to see those folks that came out and supported. And I want to thank the businesses and the vendors in our community. I'm just continually amazed when we reach out in partnerships, and because I know, sometimes with the economy the way it has been, and businesses have gone through some times, and now everybody, hopefully we're seeing some positiveness in that area, but they give from their hearts and try to support so many efforts that are going on in our community, not just our event. I mean, there's tremendous amount of events, but the outpouring and helping in that was tremendous.
And one of the things that I think sets Franklin County Sheriff's Department a little bit different than others maybe around us is how much time and effort you spend into making the community a better place. You guys spend a lot of time, doing your everyday jobs, and you could really feel every waking moment doing that, but you also take the time, though, to make Franklin County a better place with events like this.
Oh, and I want to thank my personnel. To have a major event like that leading up in the preparation and then the day of the event, I know there was a dozen members of our organization, along with many from our COPS program, were there 7 o'clock in the morning, stayed till about 5 that afternoon. But they volunteered, and they came and did it because, as you just said, they love this community, and they realize certainly for us to, I feel, to be a part of this community, it's just much more than what we do in our professional careers. It's being part and giving back to this community. So they were there with smiles on their faces and enjoyed the day themselves.
Absolutely. And if you didn't have an opportunity to go out and either participate in this event or to go out and watch the weigh-ins, if you go to their Facebook page, Standing Watch, just do a quick search in Facebook. There's an entire photo album, slideshow, however you want to say, of 20 or 30 pictures throughout the day, and nothing but smiling faces. Some of the fishermen not asking, for some reason they don't like to smile in pictures. We've started to notice that. But again, you can just see how much fun was had by everybody who was involved in that. So congratulations on another successful event.
And thank you for helping us advertise and get the word on that. That's so important that people, there's so many things, but continuing to get that information out of events that are occurring in our community, and I know you all do that so well.
Well, we appreciate that. And talking about getting information out to the community, that's one of the reasons why you folks, either yourself or a representative from the Sheriff's Department, comes in each month, is to kind of talk about something that's affecting our community. And the thing that we're going to be talking about, or the issue we're going to be talking about this morning, are scams. And as we kind of talked about before we went on the air, it's not that it's necessarily a new thing, but it's an ongoing, unfortunately, an ongoing thing in our community and a lot of surrounding communities. But we just want you to be aware of some of the things that are going on in ways that you cannot fall victim and fall prey to it, because scams are starting to get more and more complex, and a different way. So what are you seeing in terms of scams in Franklin County?
Yes, and let me say to the public, and I thank you for this topic. This is not a new topic. We've spoke on it before. I don't know that I have a lot of new information that I can add, but the reason we continue to speak on these areas are because they're such a wide part of our lives. FCC, I read something the other day that indicates that 50% of the phone calls people receive on their cell phones this year are of a scam nature, or people trying to obtain information from that caller. And it's gotten even more complex and technical in the fact of certain things they'll use called spoofing, where they'll use numbers that people are recognizable as far as the prefixes in those numbers that we readily see and use every day, and they will use those numbers. Another way to entice the person to, well, I don't know who that is, but I see it's a recognizable prefix of a number I use, so I'm going to answer it, or I'm going to go into it. Same way with the emails. You know, there's those little tags on emails just enticing you to open up and then get you intrigued enough to open another link. And again, it's just have to be very careful of these malwares and other softwares that just infect the viruses that go into your system, and not only affect you, but affect anybody in your contacts and other people that are in that listed in your phone. It can easily allow them to infiltrate those phones as well.
You know, over the last couple of months, you guys also do a great job of getting information out to the public with press releases that we pass on. I know there was one that actually involved the Sheriff's Department. I believe it was the Westlake office there, where folks were getting calls saying it was somebody from the Westlake substation there, and they needed to do X, Y, and Z. And that obviously wasn't the case.
Right. It's funny as when HL informed me, said, you know, we're going to be talking about this topic, and asked me to put it on my calendar to be with you today. I think it was that week or the week after, received a call, saw a number, didn't recognize the number, and I'm trying to remember now where it came from. I can't exactly remember. Sometimes it'll give you a state or city. But I noticed that a voicemail was left. And when I went in and looked at the voicemail, it was the notorious IRS scam. The IRS is looking for you. You need to call this number immediately, or there will be an immediate arrest coming. There's going to be agents coming to your home and taking you in custody if you do not follow through and make a phone call to us. So it's, of course, now we're right in tax season, so that's indicative again that you would see that particular scam really trying to flood. We hope people continue to understand that's not the way that government does business, is making phone calls. That it's done through mail, or normally if there's a problem or issue for you to have to address, not from a phone call.
And so, I mean, as you said, nobody's immune to getting these calls, whether it be on your cell phone, your house phone, through email. We all experience almost on a daily basis, as you said, getting these calls. So we kind of know what they sound like. We kind of know the tactics they use. But there are still people, you know, when it involves you and it's your, you know, one of the notorious ones is, you know, hey, this is your grandchild, and I'm either in jail and need money, or this or that. When you start to tug on the heartstrings, it gets a little bit tougher to decipher. So what are some ways that people can, you know, stay safe when they receive calls like this?
Well, you know, that's a good point, that what you mentioned. It's why do these folks continue to do the things they do? They continue to do it because there may be thousands of robocalls sent out, but if they can get 10% of those to bite into providing information to them, just think of the potential of money that can be garnered from that, from those folks that do fall. So the reason is that's why they continue to do it, and they know the more they do it and the continued repetitiveness of it, and we do tell folks, you know, don't answer, hang up. You need to continue to do these things, and for the most part, I think people understand that, but I would caution folks because, again, of the civility that a lot of times we find ourselves, you know, it's hard to hang up, but these folks are professional in what they do. And the fact, when I say professional, they're con people, they're criminal elements, but they are trained, they are articulate. It's almost like actors. I mean, the scripts that they do, and they are good at what they do. They know the right things to say, the right tone to use, and in trying to bring you back if you say I'm not interested, or you know, a lot of times we'll try to give reasons why we give to this charity or do this, and they know the things to say to draw you back. And they realize the longer they can keep you on the phone and they can keep you talking in a way that tries to keep you engaged in that conversation, the likelihood, you know, the chances are they're going to get some information that they're looking for. So therefore, we just have to be vigilant. Those with aging parents, I would say, continue to go over those things. You may even have information placed at the phone, you know, mom, dad, grandparents, if you get a call like this, follow this, you know, and or don't even answer it or hang up. Just a constant reminder for them, it's okay to do that. That's what you need to do.
Absolutely. And we're starting to get into that season. The weather's starting to get a little bit warmer outside. And kind of tying in with that, the door-to-door almost with, you know, selling of this or that, or we've got extra of this left. Do you want us to do your driveway? Or, you know, are you starting to see any of that yet? We know it's just now starting to get warm.
Yes, and thank you for that, Kevin. That is another issue that we definitely deal with. Again, as the summer peaks, people will show up at your doorstep wanting to know if you want work done, or the most prevalent, as you said, the paving scams. That's always an issue we have, or painting of a roof, maybe a barn roof or whatever it may be. So people just have to be fully aware then. Remember that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, most of the time it is. And it's okay to tell them that you want to talk to other family members about it, you want to talk to your spouse about it, or no, I just don't want that. Be stern in that. If you have to, finally, at some junctures, just ask them kindly to leave your property. Always feel and know that you can call 911 in any of those areas. And we certainly like to have information come to us as these things start to materialize, because we do monitor and try to track. And certainly if we can find that there's enough information and that we can get involved, that we will charge folks. And for whether it's illegal solicitation or certainly trying to obtain money under false pretenses of what they're doing. But there again, we have to, have to be available to be there and get the information. And I would recommend to the viewers and the listeners, always, if there's something that's sketchy and you didn't feel good about, try to get a tag number, try to get a description of the individual and the vehicle they were operating, or anything name may be listed on the particular vehicle, something that we can use to try to identify who they may have been.
And this question may stretch a little bit further than scams, but I think it definitely involves it. But how important is that flow of information between the public and the Sheriff's Department in any case or in any issue? Just if you see something, as you said, that just doesn't look quite right, of just relaying that information to you guys.
Well, and I'll have to say this, because I've talked to many folks. I know it can be very frustrating, because you've had something or you feel something is a scam or it's not right, and you make a call to us. And I don't want the public to feel discouraged or feel like we are not interested in that. We are, and we want the data and the information, but the volume of what we deal with is just so tremendous. Even our banking institutes, though they unfortunately recognize that there's a certain amount of fraud that will occur, and they budget, or they're taking into account those losses that they may have, because the volume is just, it's unbelievable what is occurring in that regard. But we want to know the information. We're able in our software information, as far as a narrative of a report, once we find a common theme of a vehicle, or maybe what they're saying or how they're acting, we can go back and put certain information in our system, and we can pull related calls to maybe an individual, so we can see if there's a pattern developing in what part of the county it may be more prevalent or not. So the information is good for us to have, so we always ask people to report it to us. We just ask for their patience with us, and the officer, the deputy, may be very forthright in telling you, under what you've just told me, this is going to be very difficult for us, but we're certainly will put it in our report, and we do pass-alongs all the time with other area jurisdictions, what they're dealing with, what we are, and we always try to get back out to the public when we're dealing with maybe a couple calls we receive, just to enlighten the other public. Hey, heads up, we're starting to see this particular scam again, be aware of it. Medicare scams in the medical profession. That really worries me because it's just another fraudulent attempt to get people's information. And when you have doctor's visits or you've had surgery and you're getting all this flow of bills and information and you're trying to decipher all of those things, and you get a phone call, sometimes you can get confused, or you think it may be, well, maybe it is someone within the hospital or within the Medicare program, or somebody's trying to get information, so you can easily would give that information out if you've dealt with something. But that is another area we want the viewers to be very cautious about, never giving out any kind of medical information as far as your health insurance card number, your group number, who you have your insurance with, any of that.
Absolutely. So again, lots of great information this morning about how not to be a victim of scams, whether it be door to door, whether it be by phone, by email. It all comes down to making sure that you're in control of your information, that you're in control of the situations, and if it doesn't feel right or anything like that, make sure that you're hanging up that phone, not opening those emails, asking the individuals to leave, and again, just passing that information along to the Sheriff's Department so they can kind of keep an eye on things and really help control what goes on in and around Franklin County. But again, you're the first line of defense. Being aware, if it doesn't sound right, we can't say that enough. Just hang up the phone, and you never have to talk to somebody that you don't want to talk to. And another good way, especially if it has to do with medical or your debit card or your credit card, is contact the company directly. Hang up the phone, you'll get the number, and then you contact them and say, hey, I just got a call about this, and they can tell you, yes, it's legit, no, it's not. So again, lots of defenses for this so that you don't fall victim to scams. We do have a couple of more things we'd like to talk about with the Franklin County Sheriff's Department and Sheriff Bill Overton. First and foremost, getting ready to get towards the end of the school year. It's hard to believe. Time is just passing us by, but we're also getting into that prom season, and Franklin County High School is going to be having their prom at the Hotel Roanoke this year. So if you had a word for the folks that are going to be traveling and about prom safety.
Well, we certainly, as the weather breaks, we know the traffic picks up. There's a lot of visitors to our community, so our roadways are very, very busy. But it's a good opportunity, and we've already started that we continue a positive message of safety and in driving, and certainly no drinking, and certainly we're sending the message, don't be texting while driving, any of those distractions. Concentrate. It's statistics show that that's a vulnerable spot. New drivers, young drivers find themselves getting distracted, and we just don't want to see that. And knowing that our prom this year will be in Roanoke, I know in the past there's been a lot of travel anyway to go to maybe some restaurants in Roanoke, but all of them will be traveling to Roanoke for this. So we're just encouraging them to be safe, to use good practices when they're doing that, making sure that everybody in the vehicle, if there's four in the vehicle, that everybody's being attentive, allowing the driver to pay attention to what he or she is doing. But we're just hoping and praying that they have just a great event. It's been a good school year for us as far as safety is concerned. Dr. Church and I meet and speak regularly about events that are occurring. We're thankful as we look across our nation. There have been some school shootings, but nothing like we were involved with last year that prompted us to do some of the security measures we're doing. We recently did an assessment of how the parents and students feel about the safety measures that we have taken at Franklin County High School, and I'm excited to say that it was overwhelmingly thankful of the presence, that the extra presence that we do have at our high school. We've talked about that due to the size of the campus it is. So we will continue to work with the board members. I think we were going to mention that, those are budget items that we have to talk about, but we're in discussion with how do we continue to provide that service that we believe is so necessary until in future times or dates more security can be applied to the physical structures of some of the buildings on that campus.
Absolutely. And as you said, budget season, we've talked about it with the schools, we've talked about it with the town, we've talked about it with the county, we've talked about it a lot during this period, but it does affect day-to-day operations. and how things are operated and what new things that you can implement. But you guys have done a great job with the Sheriff's Department of stretching every dollar and getting the most out of it.
We do. Public safety's budget, which includes not only law enforcement, the Sheriff's Office, but fire and EMS, is about 11% of our county budget. And I think for that 11%, public safety and the Sheriff's Office does a tremendous job with what we have. We understand that, like everyone, we have a budget that we have to operate within. The county has been very good to us as far as allowing us to bring data and express our concerns in specific areas where we believe that whether it's more funding is needed or funding is adequate. But we understand too, as the county administrator and board members probably have shared with you, it's a tough year right now. The revenues aren't where they want. We've seen increases in many areas, but totally revenues are not there as robust that you would maybe be able to implement new programs like you would like to. It's so a lot of it is level funding. Understand there was a tax increase last year. Glad to know that there's not one this year. We are thankful out of last year, as we've indicated, we did pick up that extra personnel in our 911 center where we could put in place emergency medical dispatch, which is going very well. So all in all, we're happy with the budget that we have to operate in this year, and we will take that budget and do our very best to continue the services that we're able to provide the citizens of Franklin County to keep them safe and their property safe. And it's a daunting task at times, but that's what our vision and our goal is to do.
Absolutely. So lots of great things going on with the Sheriff's Department. You guys are staying busy and keeping Franklin County safe. And
we actually had a meeting just Monday. You had a staff meeting talking about the break in the weather in the summer. And I'm really astounded as, you know, it's great for the county, but there's events happening every week and weekend in particular. A lot of those events require us having some type of security there or traffic control. So our calendar is filling up pretty steadily with events. It's a good thing. I love seeing the robust activities that our county has. But I will say the summertime is very taxing on our people because, you know, from working 12-hour shifts and then special events, we have to have people signing up for these events, and most of them are weekend events. So a lot of times it can get very tiring on our individuals, but they understand it's something that has to be done, and we will continue to get it done.
Absolutely. And talking about that traffic controls, we get ready to wrap up here this morning. Today is Go Orange Virginia Day with the Virginia Department of Transportation about keeping our workers out there who are keeping our roads in good shape, about their motto being slow down, phones down. And I think that can go right along with our public safety and our first responders. When you see those lights flashing, slow down, put your phone down, because I know around the country over the last couple of months we've saw incidents involving fire trucks and police officers and ambulances of folks not paying attention and unfortunately becoming part of the accident with those first responders. So we know, especially with traffic control, you've got different officers who will be in the street directing traffic. There at our high school, we've got great folks who are directing traffic. So just, again, staying aware.
Yeah, you know, when you mention that, that is so true. And I suspect everyone that is listening to me has had an event sometime in their life that they've been driving for a period of time where they were thinking of something or what they needed to do, where they were going, whether they nodded just a moment, whether they were on a phone, and that split second when you realize my attention was completely lost there for a minute, or you did get over the shoulder, and the reminder, that's all it takes is a split second. That's why the move over law occurs when you see a police officer that's on the side of the highway, in particular 220 or 40 or 122, where there's very limited space on the shoulder to move over, and certainly for those VDOT workers, because all it takes is a split second for that car to drift, and we could have, and there has been accidents where there's been tragedy that has occurred that could have been prevented if people would be paying attention to what they're doing in their driving.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for coming out bright and early on this Wednesday morning and
I always enjoy it.
having this discussion with us. It's lots of, as we said, lots of great things. And lots of times our discussions, whether it be about drug use in Franklin County, or whether it be about all these scams that just staying aware, it's just about passing that information on. That sometimes we just need our memory jogged a little bit to keep it in the forefront so we can just stay safe and continue to make Franklin County the best place to live.
Exactly.
Absolutely. We'll see you or somebody from your department next month, and we look forward to that.
Sounds great.